Bring in senior investigative reporter Aaron Katersky in Lviv, Ukraine, and ABC's Phil Lipoff across the border in Poland. Alex Brachet is also watching the U.S. developments for us in Washington. Thank you all for being here. Aaron, I want to start with you because Zelensky says that Putin, you heard him there, saying he's living in an information bubble without oxygen. What do we know about the intelligence Russia is getting?
We're told, Diane, that Vladimir Putin is spending a lot of time in a bunker beneath the Kremlin with his military officials, constantly looking for updates on how the invasion is going. We don't know if he's surrounded by people who will give him the unvarnished truth, but it seems he has at least been made aware of the determination of the Ukrainian resistance, how hard it's fighting to not live under the thumb of Russia, because he has in recent days stepped up the bombardment of civilians where they live and where they work, and more of that is coming, U.S. defense officials say, and that indicates to them that Putin is out to break the Ukrainian spirit.
And Alex, how are the U.S. and its allies responding to these new Russian attacks on civilians?
Well, Diane, it's continued outrage, growing outrage, especially as you see videos surface from Russia essentially not honoring a ceasefire as civilians have been targeted in these attacks. But I'll also say, right now the White House has just begun a secure teleconference with some of our allies, the president of France, among others. But we're also today getting a sense of some nervousness from some of the NATO Baltic countries. Secretary of State Antony Blinken in Latvia, excuse me, got a chance to speak with the Lithuanian president, who says deterrence is no longer enough. We need to move. We need a forward defense here because otherwise it will be too late. Putin will not stop in Ukraine. So clearly there is a sense of nervousness from some of our other allies that even after Ukraine, this could continue on further west.
And so, Alex, any sense of what that forward defense might look like?
Well, I think we're going to get a little bit of an insight from that after this secure call from with the White House. But right now, the U.S.'s position is still a little unclear.
And Phil, more than 1.7 million refugees have fled Ukraine. When you see those images of the civilians that have been hit, it's easy to understand why. Where do they go from here? I know over 1 million are said to be in Poland, where you are. So what happens to these people once they arrive?
Diane, you're right. The border guard says more than 1 million people as of last night at 8 o'clock have traveled into Poland. It's the big question right now. It's a question that wasn't being asked a week ago. This kind of goes in phases. So when this began, it was the panic to get out of Ukraine and get to safety, to cross the border into Poland. Then it was, what do we do now? And now that so many citizens and people from all over Eastern Europe are helping out, and the Polish government helping out in a big way with these reception centers, they're matching people up with apartments and homes. We spoke with one family that is on its way right now, 300-mile trek to a home. We spoke to another family that is flying to Malta because they have a support system there. So refugees will be settled, but again, it's not really settled. They're not with their husbands, fathers, and brothers who are fighting the war. And of course, they don't know how long they're going to be able to stay where they're staying. So that's the question. People are settling in for the time being. They're getting temporary shelter, whether it be, in a hotel, an apartment, or an actual shelter, which we've seen too. But what happens next is the question, Diane, and that's up in the air right now because no one knows how long this war is going to last.
No, we sure don't. And Aaron, the UN has verified that at least 406 civilians have died in Ukraine in this war, but it also says that the actual figure is likely much higher. What are you seeing and hearing there in Lviv?
Dreadful stories about civilians trying to flee the fighting, getting rained on with Russian rockets. We've seen it in areas north of Kyiv. We've seen it in areas in the south, in Mariupol. Civilians want to flee. The conditions are deteriorating fast in some of the hard-hit urban areas, but when they try to get out, here come the Russian shells. And we've seen these harrowing images of people passing children and then strollers to soldiers to try to get them off an embankment and into a bus to safety. And if they don't leave the country to go where Phil is, they often will take refuge. Say here in western Ukraine, I visited a shelter, a university that's opened its campus to these people. Picture a big gymnasium, 3 of them, lined wall to wall with just mattresses on the floor. And that's where entire families have been sleeping the last 5, 6, 7, 8 days. Thankfully, they're nice people to donate things because people often left without much. But this is their temporary home now for the foreseeable future, Diane.
Sad state. And Alex, Secretary of State Blinken is accusing the Kremlin of, quote, starving Ukrainian cities. He also compared Russia's advance to Nazi Germany's siege of Russian cities during World War II. And that siege killed Putin's brother. So is that a strategic play here? Is Blinken trying to appeal to Vladimir Putin personally?
Diane, you have to think that, yes, this is a direct appeal to Vladimir Putin here. Secretary of State Antony Blinken in Latvia today basically saying that what Russia is doing to Ukraine is akin to what Nazi Germany did to Russia during World War II, a siege that ultimately killed many, including Putin's then 1-year-old brother. It's a very kind of remarkable analogy that was drawn today, and it's also clear that the Blinken and the Biden administration is confident that this is a message that will resonate with Putin. And look, I mean, he says that Russia is starving cities like Mariupol. He called it shameful. Again, this is a forceful calling out of these actions that we've seen Russia continually, heighten. But it's clear that they're trying to get Putin's attention.
All right, Aaron Katursky, Phil Lipoff, Alex Brachet, thank you all.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.